You got all dressed up. Sir, you put on a suit, new suit, put on some cologne, you even had a pocket watch with a chain. And ma'am, you put on high heels, a new dress, some flower bomb perfume. And the car was detailed, perfect. In fact, the car actually reeked of the smell of cinnamon and spice air freshener. But you had a destination. You got in your car and you drove over to the Mission Inn. It was a beautiful night, a warm night. You walked in and you could just feel the eyes of the people on you as you walked in. If you weren't mistaken, the people at that table said, "Look at that couple. They are stunning." You went in and you sat down. The food was delectable. The music was soft. The night was warm. The lights sparkled around you. And you also knew that other people's eyes were on you, sir, when you took out that little box. And they were on you, ma'am, when you gasped. And you're almost sure you heard them whisper, "She said yes." And you're still basking in the glow of that this morning. You sit there right next to this person you love. Your futures are now going to be intertwined. And you sit there wondering, how do you follow that up? Is that the pinnacle? Or is there more good to come? In fact, you sit there wondering, what is the best thing I can do for this person I love who is at my side? What is the best thing, you wonder? And I say to you, I'm really glad you asked. You had excellent timing. Because it just happens to be that we are in a sermon series entitled, "The Best Thing You Can Do." And today's topic, the best thing you can do for your fiancé. So what is it? What is the best thing you can do for this person you love? Now, some of you sit there and you look back over the road of life. You look back and you remember this occasion in your life and experience. You might have to drive back on that road a few miles, 5 or 10 miles, or a year, or 20 miles, or 40 years, but somewhere along the way, you remember that experience, and you have some advice, you have some things that you could say in answering that question, what is the best thing you can do for your fiancé? But others of you, that's still in the future. You're just getting onto the on-ramp, and you're ready. You're willing to listen to some advice. So what about it? If we were to talk about this as a group, and were to ask the question, what is the best thing you can do for this person to whom you are now engaged? What would the answer be? Well, I suspect that sooner or later we would have somebody say, "I've got it. It's something you can buy. You can give it as a gift." Someone else would say, "No, it's not something you can buy, but it is something you give, something very personal." Others would say, "Well, maybe it's something you do, or something you say, or a promise you offer." There might be many opinions. But sooner or later, somebody would say this, "I'll tell you what it is. It's a realization, an understanding that you can give to this person to whom you're engaged." You might say it's something like this. You might say it comes in understanding that marriage, our marriage, consists in more than just the wedding. It's a little bit hard to remember that at the beginning. After all, when you become engaged, the focus is so much on that ceremony. You're going through all of the detail lists. Who will be on the guest list? Who will be your attendants? What will we wear? What will the colors be? Where are we going to have it? Who's going to be the preacher? How much is all this going to cost, your father asks. You're caught up in all of those details, trying to figure out all those realities. In fact, it is so easy to become so focused on the ceremony that, in the words of Florence Littauer, too many people forget that after a wedding comes a marriage. It's easy to forget that. But I'm not down on weddings, please. Don't misunderstand. In fact, if you take this book we call Scripture, and you begin reading through this book, it won't take you reading very long before you conclude that weddings were a very important part of life in the biblical world. In fact, they put us to shame in many ways. These people would gather together. They would have celebration and eating and drinking and dancing, the family, the community. It would go on for at least 7 days. Just the wedding. In fact, if you read Scripture, you will notice pretty soon that the story of Scripture, the narrative of Scripture, is bookended by 2 weddings. At the very beginning, you have God joining Adam and Eve together in the splendor of Eden. And then you go all the way to Revelation, and you see Jesus claiming His bride, the church, and inviting all of us to the wedding supper of the Lamb. So make no mistake about it, Scripture is bookended by weddings. They're great events. But somewhere along the way, you have to remember our marriage consists in more than the wedding. There are things to come that will be challenging and difficult and may not work out exactly the way we plan them. That could start as early as soon as the honeymoon. The pastor and writer John Ortberg writes about such in one place. He shares his experience. He writes, "When my wife Nancy and I got married, we were convinced that our honeymoon would be 24-hour nonstop passion. I told her, 'Leave the honeymoon to me. I know how to make a woman happy.' I thought I did. I knew just the place to take her, the right spot to put her in the mood for our honeymoon. Wisconsin. Now, I grew up in northern Illinois, and if you wanted a romantic setting, you went to Wisconsin. I knew how to make a woman happy. Nancy had several ideas of where paradise for a honeymoon might be, and much to my surprise, Wisconsin was not one of them. But she trusted me. After our wedding, we got on a shuttle bus to the airport in Los Angeles. We flew for 4 hours on a packed flight to Chicago next to a lady who had a sick baby in her lap. Not a romantic setting, but I wasn't worried. I had Wisconsin. I knew how to make a woman happy. We got to O'Hare. Our luggage was an hour late. Finally, we got a rental car. I had forgotten how big Wisconsin is. We were going to Door County, 5 hours in the car. So after an hour in the shuttle bus, 4 in a plane, 3 at various airports, 5 in the car, we finally got to our honeymoon hideaway, the Bates Motel. It was 2 a.m. No one was at the desk. No lights were on. We had to find the key to our room ourselves. Anybody with brains would have gotten some rest at that point, but I knew how to make a woman happy. So I said to Nancy, "Take a hot shower. Relax." I tried to make the room romantic. I got candles out. I knew women like candles, so I got the biggest one I could find. It burned like a Duraflame log. Finally, Nancy came out of a really hot shower. The combination of the steam pouring out of the bathroom and the candle smoke set off one of the loudest smoke detectors east of the Mississippi River. Everybody in the motel rushed into the hallway. There was smoke and steam pouring out of our room, bells going off like it was the 4th of July. My wife wrapped in a couple of towels, and me saying, "It's okay, it's our honeymoon. It's our first night, I'm a pastor. It's all right." We were famous. People came up and asked for my autograph. They figured I knew how to make a woman happy. Honesty time now. How many of you have had honeymoons where at least one detail did not go exactly the way you planned? And it's not just the honeymoon. It's a great myth that this dimension of our relationship or any other will go exactly as planned. Do you know what that's called? That's called marriage. That's called life. It's just not working out exactly the way I had it planned. So maybe the best thing you can do for your fiancé is for both of you to come to that recognition. Our marriage consists of more than our wedding. It consists of life. Now, if that's what you would choose to be the best thing you could do, I have no argument. I would not argue with you. That's a very good choice. But it wouldn't be my choice. I would wait for another suggestion. Maybe a suggestion would come up where somebody would say, you know what the best thing you can do? The best thing you can do is to realize that your marriage does not consist of just the two of you. That's a hard reality to come to. After all, at the Mission Inn, you two and the flame of your candle were all that existed. It's just us, baby. Just you and me against the world. And your mother, and your father, and a few other people from your extended family, because somehow you learn at the wedding that your spouse brings along 2 or 3 suitcases. One of them says dad on it, the other says mom on it. In fact, they've got quite a bit of baggage from their family. And because of that, the old saying goes around, when you marry someone, you don't just marry someone, you marry their family. When I was a little boy, there was a song they were playing on the radio. I have no idea by whom it was sung, who wrote it, or anything else. But I do remember this. It was about a boyfriend who was trying to get his girlfriend, later his fiancée and wife, off to herself so they could be together. Her name was Maggie. The song said that every time he got her to some place where he thought, it's just you and me, and then came the chorus. There was her father, her mother, her sisters, and her brothers. Oh, I never see my Maggie alone. It's true. Maybe that's why the relationship writers Townsend and Cloud say it. They say the safest person you can marry is the person who is the most fully differentiated from mom and dad. What do they mean by that? It means the person who has most fully become himself, herself, a mature human being, still in relationship with mom and dad, not overly close, not driven apart by hostility, but simply themselves. Safest person to marry, they say. You have to remember, however, that no matter how differentiated they are or are not, they always will have those suitcases from family. Skye Jethani, senior editor of Leadership Journal, writes about such things and about what those things might mean with these words. He says, a few years before I married my wife, Amanda, she bought a car with the help of her dad. They went to a dealership. They found a car they really liked. She called me to get my opinion, and I felt really uncomfortable. I knew Amanda's dad really liked the car, and he was the one helping her pay for it, not me. But I thought the car was junk. But I was just the boyfriend. Who am I to dictate what they should do, I thought. So I told Amanda to do whatever her dad thought was best. I figured it was not my car, not my problem. 2 years later, when we got married, the car became my problem. 1,000 miles after the warranty expired, the transmission gave out. Although I was tempted to do so, I did not turn to Amanda and say, you bought this lousy car along with your dad, it's your problem. We were married. Her problems, regardless of where they came from, became my problems. Are you ready to say that? Maybe this is a pretty good choice. The choice for the best thing you can do for your fiancé is to take the attitude that says, our marriage does not consist of just the two of us. We both have families. Well, if that's your choice for the best thing you can do, I respect it. It's a very good choice. I won't argue, but it's not mine. I would wait, and maybe somebody else would suggest another possibility. Maybe they would say, the best thing you can do for your fiancé is to recognize that your marriage is not just a sprint. It's not just a sprint. It's more like a marathon, a long race. So many in the culture around us say, it's just a sprint. Don't worry too much about the future. But it's more than just a sprint. In fact, if you go back to Scripture, to that early story in Genesis, you will find that God joins Adam and Eve together, and as they turn to march down that green aisle, and as the angels throw rice, He says to them, go, become one flesh. There's a ring of permanence about that. One flesh. I know the real world. I understand that many times in life, many times in marriage, we are not faced with two good options. It's a bad choice and a worse choice. I understand. But as you plan, as you dream, as you decide, as you say yes, remember, marriage is more than just a sprint. You know what that means? It means that as you go through your future life together, life's twists and turns will take you to different places, to different realities that you had not expected. Some of them will be the most stunning vistas that lift your hearts to places you did not know they could go, but others will be the most profound depths which you never planned to visit. Because of that, how graced we are, how blessed we are, that we can come back on a daily basis to a friend named Jesus, who has a never-ending supply of love to give. And what might that love look like? I want to read you the words of Jean Vanier, founder of the L'Arche communities that deal with developmentally delayed persons, writing about how that love will take us to different places and require different things at different times. This is what Vanier writes. I know a man who lives in Paris. His wife has Alzheimer's. He was an important businessman. His life was filled with busyness. But he said that when his wife fell sick, and here he quotes the man, I just couldn't put her into an institution. So I kept her. I bathed her, close quote. Vanier then says, I went to Paris to visit them, and this businessman who had been very busy all of his life said, my life has changed. I have changed. I have become more human. I got a letter from him recently. He said that not long ago, in the middle of the night, his wife woke up. And in that moment when she woke up, it was as though she came out of the fog for just a moment. And when she did, she said, darling, I just want to thank you for everything you do for me. And then the man said, the fog settled in again. And he said to Vanier, I wept. And I wept. That's the love of a marriage that is more than just a sprint. You typically don't find those realities between the 100-yard dash markers. You find them somewhere out on the rises and falls of the marathon. So if you say, this is my choice, the best thing you can do for your fiancé is to realize that our marriage is not a sprint. It's more like a marathon. Then that's a very good choice. I wouldn't argue with that choice, but it's not my choice. I want to take you to the choice I would make in answer to that question. And to do so, I want to take you to a little red book, a not often read book of Scripture. It's called the Song of Songs, sometimes also known as the Song of Solomon. It's chapter 5, page 1014 in your Pew Bible, 1014. But I want to say a bit by way of background about this book before we read this passage. Make no mistake about it. The book Song of Songs is a steamy, sultry, sensual book. In fact, so much so is that the case that interpreters throughout not only the centuries but the millennia have been very uncomfortable dealing with it. Because of that, at least 3 streams of interpretation have flowed from this book called Song of Songs. First stream, that goes all the way back to the Jewish rabbis, was, no, this isn't a real story. This is an allegory. Didn't really happen. It's an allegory of Israel and Israel's God, God's love for Israel and Israel's love in return. When Christianity came along, they began to drink from that same stream and said, yes, this is a picture of Christ and the church. That's the first stream. Second stream is typological. Those who say, no, this story really happened. These are actual living beings, man and woman. But what's important is not what happened between them, because they are a mere type of Christ and the church. In that, it's very similar to the first one. But then comes the third stream, the one which, in my humble opinion, is the correct one. This is the one that says the story is literal. It's a story between a man and a woman deeply, passionately in love with one another, a bride and a groom, and it is the story of how their love manifests and expresses itself. A real story. Now let me set the immediate context for the text we're going to read. The immediate context is just in the last chapter. The man, the groom, has described his wife in loving but florid language. He shows with his words just how stunning he believes she is. And then we come to chapter 5, and she returns the favor. She is going to describe him in loving, metaphorical language, but beautiful detail. But she does so in response to a question that her friends, her bridesmaids, ask her. Her friends say to her, tell us, what is different about this man? Why did you choose him over all the others that you could have chosen in Jerusalem? Why him? And she answers their question. So let's look at it. Song of Songs, chapter 5, we begin with verse 9. This is the friend's question. How is your beloved better than others, most beautiful of women? How is your beloved better than others that you so charge us? Now here comes her answer. My beloved is radiant and ruddy, outstanding among 10,000. His head is purest gold, his hair is wavy and black as a raven. His eyes are like doves by the water streams, washed in milk, mounted like jewels. His cheeks are like beds of spice, yielding perfume. His lips are like lilies, dripping with myrrh. His arms are rods of gold, set with topaz. His body is like polished ivory, decorated with lapis lazuli. His legs are pillars of marble, set on bases of pure gold. His appearance is like Lebanon, choice as its cedars. His mouth is sweetness itself. He is altogether lovely. This is my beloved. This is my friend, daughters of Jerusalem. This is quite a stunning statement, actually, because it's the few pieces of poetry from the ancient world that is largely in the voice of the woman. It's one of the few. And make no mistake about it, the woman speaks and speaks over and over again. In fact, at the heart of the book Song of Songs, where much of the main dialogue takes place, out of 111 lines, 80 are hers. Make no mistake about it, this book is her book. And so in that vein, she describes in loving detail her groom, the man who has captured her heart. But despite all the wonderful words and images and metaphors that she paints with her words, those are not the things that grab me about her answer. Her friends ask, What is it about him? It's what she tucks in as the summary of her response that grabs me. You noticed it there. When it comes moment to summarize, this is why I have chosen him. She says, I have chosen him because he is my beloved and he is my friend. When I have the privilege of talking with couples before their wedding and we're planning the service, and I ask them, is there any passage of Scripture that you would like to have be a central part of the homily? I am always secretly thrilled when they say, well, you know, somewhere we read a text. I think it was in Song of Solomon. And I say, bless you. Because contained in those words comes the choice that I would make for the best thing you can do for your fiancé. And that is simply this. Recognize that your marriage consists of more than just chemistry. Your marriage consists of more than just chemistry. He is my beloved. He is my friend. Now please, I am not against chemistry. I am not against that which happens when you lay eyes on that other person and your hormones begin to bubble. I am not against that in any sense. In fact, I would go so far as to say this. It is extremely important. Suppose that you happen to be a couple who is together, a group, a couple that follows Jesus. You are his disciples. Suppose that's the case. And suppose because of that, you have said, we have made the decision, we're going to stand against some of the overwhelming currents of the time. We're going to wait to sleep together until we're married. Suppose that's your choice. And suppose you have no problem honoring that choice. That's a problem. That's a very big problem. If you have no problem honoring that choice, then please understand this. If you have no problem keeping your hands off each other now, you're going to have a big problem keeping your hands on each other later. Let that be very clear. I am absolutely not against chemistry, against the attraction, against that sexual attraction that draws you together, a vital part, a God-given part of a marriage relationship. But I would hasten to add this. Your marriage consists of more than just chemistry. And she captures it in her words. She says, you want to know why I have chosen him? You know why he stands head and shoulders above all the others in Jerusalem? I will tell you why in a very, very simple phrase. Because he is my beloved and he is my friend. Do you know what she has captured there? She has captured the two things that you must do on that day when you stand before the minister and utter those words, I do. She captures the fact that you are making a commitment to love. He is my beloved. But she captures the fact that you are making a commitment to like. He is my friend. And you just may discover along the pathway of life that there are many times when it's a lot easier to love them than it is to like them. Have you discovered that? It's a reality. And yet the truth is that it is one of the most easily overlooked realities in marriage. After all, we select our friends, our platonic friends, based on the fact that we have a lot of similarities. We go to the same school, we're studying in the same program, we attend the same church, we live in the same neighborhood, we grew up in the same city, we have similar beliefs. We have many similarities that bind us and bond us together as friends. And when the going gets tough in a friendship, those binding realities of our similarities will hold us together. But then when it comes to choosing this person we marry, we get to looking across crowded rooms on dark romantic evenings and our knees go weak, and suddenly we're not so concerned about whether or not there are many similarities. We're just smitten by that person. It is easy to forget that we may not actually like them. In fact, I ask students on occasion to ask themselves this question. Suppose this were the scenario. Suppose that you had teachers who said to you, you have tomorrow off from school. No homework, no assignments, no class, nothing. But there are two stipulations. Stipulation number one, tomorrow you cannot study. It's been a stressful, tense time. You have to get out. Go to the beach, go to the desert, go to the mountains, go somewhere and just relax and enjoy the day. That's stipulation number one. Stipulation number two, you must do it with a platonic friend that you really like. That's the stipulation. Now, I say, think of that person with whom you are smitten, the person with whom you might actually be considering spending your life, and as much as you're able to, remove the romantic element. Pretend there is no romance, no chemistry, no attraction. They are just another friend. Here's the question. Who would you choose to go with you? Take a good friend. Would your beloved make the top 3? The top 5? The top 10? Do you really like them? I mean, suppose you were in the market for a house. Real estate agent takes you to the house, walks you through the house. You look at the house and you say, boy, I'm not so sure about this. Takes you into the bedroom. You look at the bedroom, you say, this I like. Wow. I like this and I like that. This is great. But then you walk through the kitchen. I don't like the kitchen. Kitchen's too small. Don't like that. Backyard. No, it just drops off. We can't do anything out in that backyard. Living room. No, was there a living room in that house? Oh, yeah, I forgot there was. That's right. Yeah, there was. Oh, but that bedroom. Ooh, that's very nice. And you buy the house. And then you realize, as you live life, that most of your waking hours are spent in the den and the living room and the kitchen and the garage and everywhere but the bedroom. And then you say, I don't even like this house. How did I end up in here? Do you understand that if this person, whom you call fiancé, is your friend, several things will happen. Number one, you will, because of your friendship, realize that your marriage is more than just your wedding. In fact, you may define it the way one writer did by saying, marriage is just one long conversation that never lasts long enough. It will also help you understand that marriage is more than just the two of you, because this is your friend and you desire to meet your friend's needs insofar even as family is concerned. This is your friend. You can do the marathon. It doesn't have to be a sprint. This is your friend. And the young woman says, I chose him because he is my beloved and he is my friend. So what's the best thing? Would you choose best thing is realizing marriage is more than just your wedding? Marriage is more than just the two of you. Marriage is more than just a sprint. Or maybe you would choose marriage is more than just chemistry. It's a friendship. And that gift of friendship is the very best gift I can give to my fiancé. If that's your choice, I commend you. If you are married and did not make that choice, here's what I would urge you to understand. A friendship can be developed. And we develop a friendship with that other person in the same way we develop a friendship with Jesus. We develop it by walking together and talking together and thinking alike and spending time together. This is my beloved, and this is my friend. That's my prayer for you. Whether you are looking to the future toward a wedding altar or looking in the past at your wedding altar, my prayer for you is that just as Jesus is not only the love of your soul and the lover of your soul, but also the friend of your life, so too, that person, that special someone in your life, will not only be your beloved, My prayer is that they will also be your friend.
Thank you for watching the Discover channel. This channel's primary focus is to share uplifting and enriching spiritual content with people of all backgrounds of life. These presentations will enhance and develop you intellectually so that you can make informed decisions that will assist you in your day-to-day life. Our goal is to bring hope to the viewers and encourage them. Should you share this vision, please subscribe to our channel and share this video with your family and friends so that they too can benefit from this content. We have a Patreon account should you wish to support this channel so that we can produce more of this content. Books and merchandise will also become available as the channel grows. Stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you at the next one.